Hey guys, Anyfigure Therapy here, and today we're going to be taking a look at an Evangelion related thing. So, like I mentioned in my other video, I did want to do an Eva thing before the week was up. Basically, for those of you who don't know, Evangelion 3.33 plus 1.11 Thrice Upon a Time came out this past Sunday, Monday-ish, in Japan. And this has been a wild ride, and honestly I am so looking forward to watching this movie like anything other than before. But yeah, so it's been a really hype week for Eva, and I think it's best to top it off with an Eva figure. So today I have the Hobbymax 1/7 Radio Eva Asuka. The edition that I have is actually the full color edition. There are two variants you can get out there, and they both cost the same price. Initially in retail, and I'll go into later why for some reason this figure is marked up like insane. But yeah, so there's two versions. There's actually the first version, which is the full color one, which is the one I'll be showing off today, and then there is the black and white one, which is based off the art. So this is the black and white one. So if you were to get the black and white version, it would look something like this. So yeah. But kind of going into the box itself, I really want to talk about the box because when I saw this box, I was like, ooh, it's so pretty. Yeah, so not only do you get a picture of Asuka in her Radio Eva outfit right here, you also get this really cool, kind of grungy sort of text of Asuka across the side. And the back has this little pattern. I'm actually not sure what the pattern is. I assume if you buy all of them and you put them all together, you get this big picture. And maybe one day that might happen, but definitely not now. But yeah, so Radio Eva 10th anniversary, and in the back has some nice markings and some stuff like that. What's also cool is that there is some stuff on the bottom too. So it does say Radio Eva, Hobby Japan, and then there's a little pull tab on top, which is kind of rare for figures. I rarely see stuff like that. But yeah, so let's talk about Radio Eva really quick while we kind of get into this. Radio Eva, okay, I don't know how to have like 100% understanding of Radio Eva. To be honest, for the name Radio Eva, I assume it has something to do with the radio. But from what I've seen, it's mostly just really expensive merchandise. But it's like really premium merchandise. So, for example, I think the cheapest... I actually own a piece of Radio Eva merch. And it was a bag, like a sling bag. Not like a sling bag, but like a tote bag that I got from a magazine that Radio Eva was doing. I think I paid $30 for the magazine. And the bag was free. So it's totally worth it. And then... in that case, because most Radio Eva stuff is like $50-$60 anyways, and you're looking at like watches, it's very like hip apparel, kind of like how there's what is it, Supreme and like that kind of stuff, like Off-White, but like an anime version. Another good example of this would be like Super Groupies. Super Groupies is another company out there that does anime themed professional like merch. So they've done like Persona, and they've also done Monogatari in like watch form, I believe. But yeah, so let's go ahead and pop this baby open. So the pull tab is really useful here. There's a nice strong pull. What's cool is as you lift it out, there is actually a very slight texture right across the top. Let me see if I can get this out. Probably shouldn't be opening it like that because then it'll fall. But there's the reveal, baby. The inside of the box is actually just nothing at all. It's a very nice box, though. I really like the box. It's unique in terms of boxes. It's more in line with a kind of like a phone. You would take a phone out of a box, but yeah. So this inner box, nothing too crazy going on. Just this cool little gradient texture right here. Actual statue. It's a good size. I really appreciate that it's very nicely wrapped. Let's go ahead and pop her out here. She does have a little bit of a weight to her, which I do like. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the box. So this figure has been released by Hobbymax, Hobbymax Japan. Hobbymax Japan, their stuff is kind of expensive sometimes. I think the last thing I saw of them was the Racing Queens Yoko and Nia from Gurren Lagann, and those were pretty up there. But they do good quality stuff. It's very pretty. Yeah, so that being said, this figure cost originally 11,000 yen, give or take 800 yen. But yeah, so it was about like $120 in its original MSRP. Nowadays, for some weird reason, it has jumped up to like $200 or $300. I've seen $300 on the high end, and then $200 on the low end, and then for the black and white version, I've seen it go up to like 400, but it's kind of crazy just how I don't want to say inflated, but maybe I also heard a rumor that this figure was like discontinued or cut short by the manufacturers. So definitely something, if you want to get it, just jump at it. You know, I don't think you'll regret it in terms of how it is, but I haven't taken a close look at it. It comes with this little card. Not sure what this card says. My Nihongo very bad. But yeah, and then a little bit of a nice little pamphlet here. Little instructions. Don't put your waifus in the jar. And then what's also cool is it has this little, I kind of like it, it's a little display thing. Maybe this will come into play later on with the rest of the Eva crew. But it has the backing, which is, if you guys ever look at a Radio Eva art, which I highly recommend, you'll see a lot of this like kind of monochrome backing stuff going on. But it's very similar to this, kind of like the nerve base. So let's just go ahead and take that out. And let's look at the figure itself. Oh, wow, that's actually kind of neat. So, what's also kind of cool is there's actually the words Radio Eva vacuum formed into the plastic, so that's definitely new. Yeah. So, just as for fun, I decided to put some art in the background. Today's art is brought to you by Jisoo Art. She's a pretty cool artist. Go find her stuff. You know, buy her merch. It's very cool. I don't have a lot of Eva posters, like fan art posters, but one of those that I do have is hers. This is a very nice stand, just right off the bat. It's like a puck almost of acrylic. So that's actually a good start right there. Let's go ahead and pop the figure out. Whoop. And yeah, wow. So it's just like a wrap over her. Oh, and there is additional wrapping, which I can respect. There's a ton of like protection in this box, so I was a little worried because the box looked a little dinged up, and then I was like, it looks like someone slid it, but it feels pretty good so far. So initial impressions, it's actually really heavy for a figure. Let's go ahead and pop the stand into her. There's just a little square metal peg that just goes whoop right in there. All right, cool. So there she's standing. Let me go ahead and get all this trash out of the way. Protection. But, yeah. So, initial thoughts. Like I said, she's kind of heavy. I like the heftiness. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. Let's see if the camera can pick up all the little goodies that she has in store for her. So, yeah, so what's cool is, give me a second to take this all in. But, yeah, so far, like I said, the heft is one thing. A lot of the weight is in the main part of her body. It feels like a nice quality figure. A lot of the paint, as far as I can tell, is very spot on. I'm always kind of worried about excessive paint jobs. So, like, for example, the shoes, there's, like, multiple colors going on at the bottom of the feet. And a lot of times, some companies will be a little messy about it. But as far as I can tell, she's doing pretty all right on that end. So there's a lot of nice detail picked out in there. And also her shoes are obviously meant to be a lot like the Evangelion Unit 2 that she does pilot. So yeah. What's cool also is that there is a multi-texture thing going on here. So the texture on her leg is a little bit different than the texture on her clothes, which is awesome. And then moreover, kind of going into that Radio Eva aesthetic, they're like hipster Eva kids, basically. So, like, they're just wearing, like, super hip clothing. And you, too, can own this clothing for the small price of, like, $300 and be as cool as Asuka here. But, yeah, so some of the cool detail is in the clothing. So the clothing itself, this is actually a nerve jacket. So you can kind of see the words nerve across the back. There are a little bit cool details right here, like this cool little, somewhat Canadian looking logo of Nerve. Not too sure how well the camera's gonna pick that out, but it does say Nerve there, and it says the classic Nerve punchline, God's in his heaven, all is right in the world. I'm not sure if this is coming off kind of fuzzy to you guys, but yeah, pretty good. So also what's cool is there's her little like toy, like her mama toy on her chest right there. And there's a lot of good shading picked off in the white of her shirt. Also on the kind of darker tones on her skirt as well. Doing a little quick check here. There is a good amount of detail down there too. But yeah, and also her hair is actually not that bad. Any gripes I have with the figure are mostly that her hair doesn't look too like spectacular compared to the rest of her body. I think it's kind of funny that like her hair is a little bit almost I don't know, it's a little too flat. That's the word. It's almost as if the hair was painted a little bit differently than the rest of the body, so it's like a different shade. But yeah, or obviously that's, I don't know what I'm saying, but basically it's what I mean is like, you know, there's a lot of work that went into the shading of the body itself, and then in the hair itself, it's not like as spectacular as expected. But the expression is pretty good. It's very spot on to how she looks, to kind of like a more weakened Asuka. I do think her eyes are a little bit like far apart from each other, but that might be like an art thing. And then her lack of hand is cool too. But yeah, what's also cool is just the expression on her hand. So you can kind of see how it's kind of pointing in. It's very interesting because I think like the human hand is such a great tool to show just how expressive things are in terms of like movement. And then what's cool here is you can kind of see the flow of her fingers kind of rub up against her thigh. Sounding a little 50 Shades there, but yeah. And then also what's cool is that all her little fingernails are painted, so that's awesome. And then besides that, there's a nice gloss applied to her little head antenna thing from the Eva itself. And then her hair, like I said, is a little flat looking. It does go from this light orange to this darker auburn orange color, and her skin is like a nice pale color, which is cool too, so it juxtaposes that greatly. Now the base itself, like I mentioned earlier, is this really nice reflective, it looks like acrylic, and it's like printed Radio Eva on the top, and then just, yeah, but it's that, you know, honestly, it kind of does remind me of like when they show off figures in their initial run, or not initial run, but like on display at like Wonderfest, they'll put acrylic stands instead of their actual plastic stands. And what's cool is this is kind of true to its calling, in the sense that it's just straight out of the official like booth in a sense. But yeah, so overall this statue is pretty cool. Now, can I say it's worth a $400 price point? I don't think so. To be honest, I think that's just Radio Eva inflation, just because of how poppy the whole like vibe is, in terms of like, oh, it's like super like, you know, hip and, you know, all sorts of great stuff. Now, I do think if you do want to own this figure now and as like an investable thing, I do think it'll be worth it later, because of how limited Evangelion or Radio Eva stuff is in general. If you're looking for an Asuka figure in casual wear, I don't think there's a lot of them out there, except for her in her yellow sundress, which is kind of just iconic. But if you want her something more like modern, this is definitely something for you. If you're like more of a casual Eva collector, but you also collect like stuff that's more high end, like you just want the high end stuff, you don't want any of the cheap Ban Presto stuff, you go with this one. It's a great decision. I think it's really nice if you had all of them together in a nice lit room. It'd be really cool. Now, that being said, I think a reasonable number for this would be the 200, honestly, because if Japan's right around like 120 after tax and shipping, you'd probably end up paying around like 130 or not 130, but like more like 140 or 150. And at that point, that's a pretty reasonable number. And then 200, let's just say the additional like late fee. So like our usual term is the late fee is basically when you decide to buy something instead of pre-ordering it. So yeah, or like after the fact that it's gone up. So that being said, that is pretty much it for this little Eva talk, I guess. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I hope that the quality of the video didn't get a little too weird, because I kept kind of noticing that it got a little fuzzy sometimes. But I don't know if it's just because there's too much colors in the background and it's kind of tripping out. But in any case, I'll see you guys around in the next one.